Welcome everyone to our Tour of Ireland information session. My name is Maureen Zanoy and I am Director of Undergraduate Programs for Van Loan School, as well as one of the faculty who will be taking you on the tour. So tonight we'll be going through some of the logistical information as well as the academic information. But before we get started, I thought it would be really nice for us to go around the Zoom room and introduce ourselves so that we can meet each other. Laura, would you mind going next?
Sure. Hello, I'm Laura Douglas. I'm the Dean of the Van Loan School of Professional Studies.
Are we all in the same order here? I think I'm next.
No, I learned yesterday that it's on order of who turned their cameras on. First.
Oh.
And then, and then you're always in the second box from the top.
So we all think that we're next.
Yeah,
I'll go next. All right, so I'll introduce myself.
Yeah.
So I'm Warren Jafarian, the Dean of International Education, and helping to put this together.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm Marcia Toomey, the Dean of Financial Aid, and I'm here to answer any of your financial aid questions.
I'm Sam Alexander. I teach English here at Endicott, including some Irish literature, and this is my 9th year, I think, at Endicott College.
Jeannie?
I'm Jeannie Stolox. I'm the Assistant Director of the Van Loan School, and I will celebrate my first anniversary at Endicott this month.
Oh, congratulations.
I can go next. I'm Anna Baptista, the Administrative Financial Aid Administrator at the Boston campus.
I'm Patrick Dietz. I'm the Community Outreach and Recruitment Coordinator for Beverly Online Programs, and you're the one I've been sending a lot of emails to you guys lately, but thanks for sticking with me.
So I'm going to go in order if you don't mind. Seth, could you introduce yourself next?
Seth Martin.
And you're a student interested in the program. And then, excellent, welcome. And Alexis?
Hi, I'm Alexis. I'm an undergraduate senior at Endicott College, and I was supposed to go on one of the other study tours that got canceled last spring, so trying to make up for it because I still have the money saved, so.
Oh, that's great. And make sure you spread the word among your fellow classmates. Thank you. Vicki.
I am Vicki Lang. I am also an undergraduate senior at Van Loan. And as Maureen mentioned, I actually did go on the Spain trip 2 years ago. So I'm definitely interested in the Ireland one.
Thank you. Nicole?
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm actually a senior at Salem State. I don't attend Endicott. I found out that this was open to non-Endicott students, and I'm really excited if I'm going to be able to attend the trip.
Great. Dan?
Hi, I'm Dan Callan. I'm actually the one who told Nicole about this. I'm an undergraduate senior at Endicott, English major. I actually took Professor Alexander's Modern Irish History and Literature class, which definitely made me want to hop on this trip.
Thank you.
Great.
Maria? You're still muted.
Hi, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, I got a new computer, so here we are.
Oh.
Yeah, your suggestion. Finally, right?
No.
No more iPad mini. You asked why we wanted to go on the trip. Was that your question?
Introduce yourself would be great. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Maria, and I am going back to school after some time to earn my bachelor's degree in business management. So I'm very excited about that. I'm in my first class, so it's exciting. And I am so looking forward to this trip to Ireland. I have never been to Ireland, and it is a big part of my heritage. So I am totally excited for this trip. So and that's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great.
And Mary Ellen.
I am here actually.
Oh, hi. You're muted.
We got your video, but lost your audio, Mary Ellen.
Yeah.
I'm here for my son Luke, who's working. He's a sophomore and had hoped to do the trip to England last year, and that didn't come together, and he would definitely like some international travel experience. So he's working tonight, and I said I would find out all the information for him.
Great. Well, welcome. Thank you. All right. So would you like to get us started, Warren? And then we'll start with that logistical and introduction to Cork, and then go to Sam. Does that work for you both?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Great.
All right, let me see here. Okay, can you all see that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So the trip will be the 23rd of May to June 1st. You'll be applying online at studyabroad.endicott.edu, and it's $2,500. The application will actually be live tomorrow, so you'll be able to go there and fill out all the information that you need. The payments are broken down into $500 due as soon as possible if you have an interest in going. And then there's 2 other equal payments of $1,000 each by February 1st. All right, so we're asking students to hold their spot in showing interest by giving the $500, and then you can make your payment thereafter. So if a student comes to us at the last minute and they want to give us all $2,500 and it's on the 1st of February, then that's great too. But to help spread things out, especially towards end of year, holidays, and all of that. But February 1st is the date on which we would look at purchasing plane tickets at that point. So that's why we have that date. Okay, so Ireland is the only English-speaking country in the European Union, and what they like to say in Cork is that in Ireland, there's Cork, and then there's everything else that isn't Cork. So they're very proud. It's like going to New York, it's like a rivalry, New York versus Boston. But people from Cork are very proud, and there's just the rest of it is part of the Republic. But, for them, it's all about Cork. So this is where what we call Wiley Hall is. It's part of this kind of Victorian era buildings that are just on the hill overlooking the city of Cork. And it's on Wellington Street. And you can see, looking out the windows, you can have a nice view of down onto Cork. But it takes less than a minute to get to McCurtain Street, and you're right downtown. 5 minutes and you're at the city center, where you'd want to be taking the double-decker bus or the train to Dublin around Ireland. So you're really right in the middle of things. It's kind of akin to living on Cabot Street and then going to, if you're going to the university, you'd be coming out to Endicott. But if you're on Cabot, it's like going down to probably to Rantoul Street. So it's very close from, you're right in the city center, but you were not, on Main Street. So it's a great location. So the accommodation itself, Building 5, Wiley Hall, 18 rooms, all single accommodation. They're suite style, so there's 5 floors. So if you go into on level 2, there are 4 bedrooms in that suite, and you have a shared bath and toilet in there. There's a shared kitchen, living room and dining room, lounge area. There's a TV station that gets literally hundreds. If you want to watch Indian TV from Mumbai, that you can watch the news, right? So there's everything, including American TV. like I said, a 1 minute walk to town. It's not even a minute. You're going down York Street, and it's kind of a San Francisco style hill. And everything you would want is right there. This is an actual photo of one of the rooms. Oops, I'm gonna go back there. So you can see looking out towards Cork. So you get an idea of the room itself, and then there's from a different angle. Okay, so they're not gigantic rooms, but they're European size, but everyone has their own space, right? And you have everything that you need. Here's just a quick shot of the bathroom, excluding the toilet, but this is the shower, and it's kind of fun. You get to learn how things work in Europe in terms of showers, but you have to remember to pull the switch when you walk in, because that makes activates the heater. Otherwise, you'll be taking a cold shower. But it's nice, it's clean, and it's leased from an adjacent hotelier who's become a good friend of mine, Stan Brown, and you'll get to know Stan. And there's kind of 24-hour surveillance, and it's very safe in Cork. It's one thing I would say. I talked to a policeman who was walking down the street, and I said, well, we've just leased this space and we send study abroad students. What do you think of the area? He says, perfectly safe. It's wonderful. But he goes, you just want to be mindful, as you would in any other city, coming home too late at night. You want to have your faculties about you. But these are stage photos of some of our actual students from a year ago, but this is, they're sitting at the main table in the shared space on the first floor. So when you walk in, there's a staircase that goes up. There's a suites on the right-hand side. You can walk through the galley kitchen. Into the back of the house is this shared living space. There's also a laundry on the first floor. Here's kind of another picture. So where this picture is being taken from is sitting at that same table where you just saw those three young ladies, right? And it's looking over to the other side there. And then past on the left is a courtyard outside. Where that window is, where the books are right there, there's kind of like a pass-through. You can look up 5 stories, you can see outside, but you walk through this little courtyard there, and that's where the laundry facility is. But everything's right there enclosed in Building 5. This is a view of the kitchen facility. So what we would do is have breakfast available in a continental style, and people would just get up, and Stan would be bringing food over, and enough food for a couple of days, yogurt, juice, breads on a daily basis, that type of thing. Here's a picture of the laundries. It's on the first floor. Again, European style, not these huge Maytags, but a little bit smaller, but they get the job done. There's another stage photo, but this is over the River Lee that passes right through Cork. And so you can see in the back underneath that, this is Endicott sign that's starting to go uphill. There's kind of like that radio tower. If you get up towards that, just the apex of that hill, take a right, that's Wellington Road, and we're right over there. So we would have just walked right down. And behind the camera person taking the picture is the main square of Cork. So everything you'd want to be is right here. It's just a terrific location. One of the best, I think I have a picture of it coming up, but one of the best, if you like coffee, one of the best coffee cafes in the world is right there, Cork Coffee Roasters. You can ask Brenda Campbell, who's a colleague of mine down the hall. She agrees. There's Cork Coffee Roasters. So we would go there and get excellent scones and coffee or tea if you want every day. And that's just probably 2 minutes from the residence hall. And there's also just, if you take a left in this picture, take a right and go down McCurtain Street, that's where all restaurants and bars, and there's a great, I'm a vegetarian, but they have great veggie burgers, but there's if you feel like having a hamburger, it's terrific, but there's everything on that street you'd want. Indian restaurants, there's a great fish and chips place just adjacent to here. And they're so kind and welcoming, and we just love to have, they love Americans. It's one thing I would say. is that it's the friend. I've been to more than 110 countries in my life, and I'd say it's the friendliest place. And the funny thing is that you start talking. If you introduce an Irish person to another one, within 30 seconds they know like 5 people, right? And so I met a guy in a train station. I was going to Dublin. He had a San Francisco Giants hat on. I said, oh, that's kind of funny. I went up and talked to him, and he says, oh yeah, my brother works at Giant Stadium. Do you know him? His name's Patrick, right? And that's kind of, he just expected, but I said, well, we got 325 million people, but they're just super, super friendly and welcoming. And they'd be only too happy to, and right around the corner, like I said, at the fish and chips place, you just say that you're from Endicott, and they'll get you something for free. So it's a great place. Here's a picture of the River Lee and Cork at night. This is English Market, which is, it's kind of like Quincy Market in Boston, but it's a fascinating place to walk through. So if you look talking about, history, art, culture, if you want a flavor of Irish culture, just walk through there and just see how they, how the butchers and how they sell their wares. It's just fabulous. This is Cove. C-O-B-N is pronounced Cove. This is the last port of call of the Titanic. It's also where the Lusitania was sunk, right off the shores here. So there's a memorial there for the people who survived, but also those bodies that they rescued when the Lusitania was sunk, just about a mile offshore there. But there is a Titanic museum that you can go to right there. And so you would take the train. It's kind of like the commuter train into Boston, but much nicer, that you would take from Cork to Cove. And you can also take the train to Kinsale and to other places, all around Ireland. But some of the places that you'll go to, you'll be going by train, and other times you'll be going by bus, all of which will be arranged by CIT, which is, you'll see that logo in the upper right-hand corner. That's Cork Institute of Technology, which I'll talk about in a minute. But they're our university partner, and the whole reason why we're in Cork on this partnership. Here's a picture. I'm on the left. This was with our first cohort of study abroad students back in the fall of, when was that? 2018, I believe. And Carmel Jordan on the far right, you'll get to meet her. And then the Dean of Hospitality is next to me, and my arm's around him. That's Noel. And then Pio is on the right in glasses, in jeans and a blue hoodie. He is the Dean of the School of Business. So you'll get to meet all of these people. Will be right there answering any questions that you've got, and they're also going to be helping on all of the tours that take place, all the logistics. No one will have to worry about any of that. It's really, really a great partnership that we have. I talk to them literally on a daily basis because we're doing forward planning for this trip, but also for our spring semester abroad. And I have to say that in all of my work life, I've never had such a great relationship as we do with CIT. So I know that I feel very comfortable that you're going to have a fantastic time and also be well taken care of. So a little bit, there's the Blarney Castle. The picture on the right, remember I was saying that the camera person was taken, if behind them is downtown Cork, so that's the upper right-hand picture. And where you see that statue in the middle of the street, just right on the left there's department stores like we call Primark, they call it Pennies, Marks and Spencer, all kinds of shopping stores all down that street. And that's where this is called St. Patrick's Square. This is from where you would take the double-decker bus around Cork. Lower right is the English Market. And then there's just a picture of West Cork, as they call it. So this is the kind of, when you get to Cove and when you're going down to Kinsale, and if you get down to Kerry, this is kind of the view that you would have. It's just beautiful. And they actually, on the way down to Killarney, you can see people surfing in wetsuits because the water is a little cold, but it's a beautiful place. So there are a lot of festivals. Of course, things have been kind of curtailed right now because of COVID, but It's Ireland's festival capital. There's jazz festival. They have a chocolate festival, oyster festival. We've had hospitality students that have gone and done internships there and helped out on these different festivals, but they just love to have a good time, and they like to celebrate most anything. This is just an interesting thing about Cork, just so that you know, there are, just a whole plethora of international companies in Cork, and including Apple's largest campus outside of California. So it's a great, I'm sure you'll have, as part of this, as part of the culture, learning about Irish business, you'll be meeting with government officials and also people in commerce as well, right? That are from Irish industry, large and small. And so they're going to put together a great series of visits for you. But I just wanted to mention this so you get the idea that it's not just Dublin that has a lot of commerce. Cork is really a hub, but it's very green. It's not like a big bustling metropolis. It's a nice sized city, but it has a very small town-like feel. It's an interesting place. I would move there tomorrow if I could. Let me just say that. I literally would. And my wife called me the first time when I went over there in 2017. She said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, I think we should move tomorrow," because it's just, and every time I go back, I feel the same way. And I'm sure you'll all feel the same. This is Cork Institute of Technology, right? This is probably like it's kind of like UMass, like 1970s architecture, UMass Boston. But you'll be going to CIT. There's other parts of the campus that aren't part of this rotunda, but you'll certainly be visiting there. The president's office is up in that little tower over there, and you'll get to meet the president of CIT. That'll be important. They'll be really happy to know that you're coming, and you'll be visiting CIT as part of it. You'll also get a chance. I added these slides just to show you some of the architecture in Cork, but also to show that, CIT is not just kind of the 15 minutes outside the city, but it's throughout the city. There are different installations there. So you'll get to see right on the River Lee, there's the School of Music, which is just, they've got, how many Steinways do they have? Just a phenomenal number. They have one person, all they do is just tune Steinways. It's kind of like when you paint the Golden Gate Bridge. You finish and then you have to go back because it's the other part needs painting now. So, but that's how many Steinways they have there. It's a phenomenal thing. School of Art and Design. That's just adding to the culture. And then I'm sure you'll get to the Black Rock Castle, which is an observatory. And CIT has a nice restaurant there that they'll probably will take you to. So this is all in Cork itself. And that's my little presentation. Maybe I can answer some questions that you might have. Anyone have questions?
That was a great overview. I know you and I spoke earlier, but to see the pictures,
yes,
amazing. It's very exciting. I can see why you enjoy it so much.
And if you love potato chips, you're gonna like Taytos, T-A-Y-T-O-S, and they've got all kinds of flavors. It's amazing. You don't leave there without. I mean, every time I've traveled over there with people from Endicott, because I've been there like 8 or 10 times now, they're always like, "Oh my God, we gotta grab some Taytos to bring back to the States." I also have something too, which is kind of a joke, but I have because they love mushy peas, and this is something I got. Batchelder's peas, and every time the Irish come and visit us, they're always like, "Oh my God, you have a can of Irish peas in your office." But there's some fun things. It's going to be a great cultural experience, and the good thing, it's great to go to another country where they speak the same language, so it doesn't have to be a high hurdle for a short-term trip. I know that one of you went on the trip to Spain, but for this trip, you're going to get to really get immersed in the culture. People are super friendly. And it's easy to get around. It's just great. You're gonna have a great time. You're gonna have a really great time. You'll fly from Boston to Shannon, Ireland, which is kind of in the north a little bit, not Northern Ireland, but it's a 2-hour drive. So when you land, you'll be met there by a bus driver. It's not a huge airport. It's kind of like flying into Portland, Maine. And then take the bus down. You land around 6:30 in the morning. By the time you get down to Cork, it'll be 9 o'clock because you'll stop halfway in Macroom, and you'll stop at a gas station that has some of the best coffee and croissants and other things there. And then you'll make your way into Cork and get settled, and then your first day will start from there. But yeah, you'll have a great time.
Well, thank you, Warren. I think what we could do is maybe jump over to the course information and give people a chance to think about questions, and then after Sam is finished, we can entertain any additional questions that people, or any questions at all that people may have.
Sure, great. Thanks, Warren. It seems like a fantastic place, and I was particularly loving the pictures of the accommodations, because I've done a couple of trips to Dublin with students, and they were organized by non-Endicott vendors. You know, it's very hit or miss in the lodgings. I remember the last time we were there in 2015, we were staying in a hotel that was above a heavy metal bar, and we didn't get a wink of sleep the whole night. And another time we were an hour outside of Dublin, so we were going back and forth trying to convince our bus driver to come back at midnight to get everyone to go back. And so it looks really comfortable and cozy and nice. And I love the idea of really digging into Cork, which is a lovely place. As I said, I teach here at Endicott English, and I also teach and have taught for, 6 or 7 years now, a course on Irish history and literature. I co-teach a course with Professor Serrani that Dan was in. I also have some ancestral links to Ireland, as I think some of you do as well. One of my grandmother's families is from Armagh, which is further north, but the other one is from Cove, which is in Cork, and which Warren showed pictures of. And it's really a beautiful little place, Cove in particular. And that's one of the places we'll visit on our trip. What else did I want to say? That course that I teach, the semester-long course that Dan took, is a 3-credit course where we meet 2 days a week for the entire semester, and we sort of learn a lot about Irish history and literature. And then when we used to do the trip, which we don't anymore, the trip was sort of the cherry on top. You know, it was like this little extra thing, and it was fun for the kids whenever. This is a very different kind of learning experience. It's much more immersive, I think, and it's much more based on the premise that experiential learning can be even more rewarding, right? When the kind of abstract history and culture is interwoven with on-site experiences, you tend to retain a lot more. I think each day in Ireland that I've ever spent, I probably learned more in that one day than I did for however many months I would have spent reading about it. And so we will have 2 pre-departure sessions in which we will lay some of the basic groundwork. There are 2 3-hour sessions. We'll meet on Saturdays in April, so that those of you who work, will be able to make them. And we'll get you those dates soon. I just want to check in with Maureen to make sure that we have one that works for both of us for each of those days. And the first of those sessions will be just sort of getting to know each other and our own cultural backgrounds and what we bring to the course. And the second one will be an overview of Irish history and culture that kind of gives you some basic key terms that will allow you to kind of plug in there. I realize that there are probably different levels of knowledge about Irish history and culture, and that's fine. It's, none is required for the course, and we'll try to make sure that even for those of you who do know quite a bit about Ireland, we have a shared kind of consensus understanding of some core principles. And then the bulk of the work will be, or I should say the plurality of the work will happen on the trip. So 40% of your grade is based on your active attendance and participation on the trip. And so what we'll be doing is kind of integrating the experiences that we have every day with short lessons that contextualize them and put them in the larger context of Irish history. So one example, on day 3, we'll be visiting the Collins Barracks Military Museum, which is a really interesting place. And we'll have a little lesson, like an hour-long lesson on that morning about the Irish War for Independence that allows us to understand the barracks role in that larger struggle. It's actually an interesting place. It was the site of the execution by firing squad of one of the major figures, other than Roger Casement, who was involved in the Easter Rising, which, as many of you know, sort of kicked off the Irish drive to independence, or culminated it, depending on how you look at it. And so we'll be doing that. We have other trips to the old waterworks, the Butter Museum. We'll be thinking about larger patterns of Irish industry and business in that context. So I really like the way that the course is designed, and I can't claim credit for it. I've inherited this course design, but I really like the idea of having sort of the local experiences of Cork, which, as Warren says, is a really comfortable, nice place that then you can put in the wider Irish context. And to kind of help you process these experiences and build up some research for the papers that you'll write at the end of the course, you'll be keeping a journal where you log your experiences. You can tape your tickets to various things in there. A lot of times you get very interesting brochures. You can keep track of those, keep your notes, other archival materials, whatever helps you kind of memorialize this trip. And this will form the basis of a short reflection paper that you'll complete that'll be due the week after we come back. And that'll be worth 20% of your grades. There are a couple of different topics that you can choose for that paper. Then after we get back, there will also be a week of course time, but it's an online model course. So it's an online post-trip module in which which I also like because it's going to allow you to kind of upload a lot of those great materials that you tracked during your trip so that we can discuss them together. And there will be a final paper and a final presentation as part of that final week. And so that'll all sum together to 100% of your grade in this great kind of integrative experiential learning model. There will also be a day that's built into the schedule that allows you, that gives you kind of suggested places to look in Cork, depending on what you think your paper topic is going to be, so that you can do some kind of detective work while you're there to gather the information that you're going to need to write an interesting paper that builds in some primary research and on-site materials. As part of that day, there is an optional high-speed rail trip to Dublin. So if, for example, you've gotten really interested in prisons in Irish history and in imagination, and you've looked at the Cork City Jail, which we will, but you want to compare it with Kilmainham Jail in London, which is in Dublin, which is the famous jail where De Valera and other great Irish figures were jailed, Charles Stewart Parnell, then you could opt to take that trip to Dublin and back for the day and gather more materials. So that's sort of a rough overview of how the academics will interface with the trip and how your grade will be calculated. One other thing I'll say, also related to that issue of different backgrounds and different level of expertise about Ireland, I think that this model allows people to kind of meet the course where they are, right? So, Dan is someone, for example, who has taken a semester-long course in Ireland, and he might be digging into a little bit more of a specific issue in Cork that he can gather information on and add to his existing information. Someone else may be experiencing it for the first time and may want to write more broadly about cultural differences between Ireland and the US. Or you might be a business student, and so what you're interested really isn't the history of the Irish War for Independence, but as Warren was talking about, the Celtic Tiger and the distinctively Irish business model that's emerged over the last 50 years. So I think that it gives everybody a place to kind of plug into the course where they want to. questions?
Thank you so much. Laura Douglas, Dean Laura Douglas is the one that wrote the curriculum, and this is her vision. And I feel very fortunate that she has allowed me to go on this trip rather than herself, because she did all this hard work. Laura, would you like to add anything? Are we doing justice to your vision?
I don't have anything to add. That sounds so fun. It sounds so exciting. I had a question because there's someone, I forget who it is, who's from Salem State. How do people, Warren, from the outside, from other colleges, can they get into the portal and apply the same way, or does it work a little differently for them?
They can. It's just a little bit different. There's something called a student information system, giving you more information than you all need. But basically, if you're an Endicott student, all your data is in the server, and it recognizes you as an Endicott student. For the young lady who's not in that case, she's from, right? All of her background, biographical information won't be there. She'll just have to add some things, but she'll be able to do it. She'll just register as a non-Endicott student.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And is that, I have one more logistical, this for Maureen. Is this the link for where to apply going to go out tomorrow or sometime later this week for people so they can?
Yeah, so that'll be live, and you'll go to studyabroad.endicott.edu. You'll have the link from Maureen, but studyabroad.endicott.edu, and then you click on programs, and it'll be there listed under study tour, and then the name of the course. And then you'll just click there, all the information you need. You'll just click on apply now, and you fill out all the information.
Great. And then the course registration will be different, but I'm not sure that, do you know, Laura, if we can add it? I know it's technically a summer.
It's technically a summer class. We can work with the registrar to get it put in.
So that, because that will also populate student information as well.
Yep, and so what we normally do, generally speaking, on faculty-led trips, which is what we're calling this one, is that the students would first start to apply here, and then we could batch register the students for the course.
Oh,
something
good.
Like that, yeah.
Great. All right, that's easy. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
The quick advice that I have, I thought I was going on a vacation in November and my passport had expired, so it is taking longer to get passports renewed or to get a passport. So if you are interested and you need to do that, I would recommend doing that right away. I still got it in a pretty timely fashion, but they say everywhere it could be delayed. So
yeah, so you want to have a minimum of 6 months validity from the end of the trip. So if the trip ends on June 1st, you want to have a passport that expires like on December 2nd of 2021, no later than that.
Great. So what questions do folks have about and thank you, Sam, that was a great overview of the course, of the trip, the logistics, the deposit, any information. What can we answer for you?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I was just wondering when we would get a full itinerary of what we were doing. I know you seem to know some of the days. I was just wondering when we'd get the full list.
I would say that we could probably have that in the next few weeks. I know we have to get together on dates, and then I can touch base with you, Warren, as well. So I would say in the next 2 weeks. If not,
I mean, how these things work generally is you have a ballpark idea about what you're going to do on a given date. And the closer we get, things will be more defined, right? And it may be that the optional trip up to Dublin happens on the 1 day later than we thought, right? But when you, at least by 2 weeks before you go, it should be 100% set in stone. It might have been 99% there. But one thing I think that I would always caution students and everyone is that you got to be flexible. This is part of being a global nomad. things happen and we might need to switch one day to the next. Maybe the bus gets a flat tire, so we said, okay, today's the day we're going to the Butter Museum, something like that. So I think that's going to just be important to have in the back of your mind.
And we do have all of the places that we're
Right.
going to, so that Matt, we can share with you.
100%. But you will eventually get a very detailed, down to the hour, so to speak, about what's happening when in that particular day. So you'll know.
Warren, can you speak to just international travel in the time of COVID?
So, of course, yeah, this is all in the background or in the foreground, right? It's so we're planning this trip, and we're hopeful that that borders will be reopening. Right now, students can travel, as we have 36 students studying abroad. Typically, we have 150 in a given semester. But we have 36 overseas, and they needed to have a negative PCR test within 72 hours of departing. They had to have a document filled out by the government or the country that they were going to, and they were checked by the airlines and along the way. Now, the students that are in Florence today just got a 2-week quarantine, right? So one of the things that we have to work with is that if we went today, we'd have a quarantine, right? So we have to work through, things are, well, they were getting better, right? As last I checked today, things were doing better, and we're hopeful that we're going to have a vaccine and everything will be great by May 23rd. So that's just to keep that in the back of our minds, and I'm sure people are, concerned today. If we had to go today, we couldn't. But things are heading in the right direction. So I'd say that's where we are with that.
What other questions do people have?
Financial aid, can we go over finance, and then I'll be quiet, no more questions.
Oh, this is great.
Marcia Toomey, I'm going to have Anna join me because it's probably going to, in case she's got something to add. Basically, because it's a summer course, there's a couple things to keep in mind. Only Endicott students can get financial aid for this course. Because it's an undergrad program, you would have to take an additional 3 credits. It's a 6-credit minimum during a semester in order to get financial aid. So by financial aid, we're primarily talking student loans. So you'd have to take a minimum of 6 credits. So this class plus another 3-credit class over the summer. Like I said, you have to be an Endicott student. So Nicole, you're Salem State, right? So you probably have to, maybe you could transfer this in. I don't know. You'd have to go through Salem State for that. And the only other thing to keep in mind is although you would get a student loan that would cover the cost of the course, what we need to recognize is that student loans can't be dispersed to the college. The money can't be sent to the college until July 1st. So although the class is running in May and it's over by June 1st, the funds for that class will not actually come into the college until July 1st.
And then I would like to add that the summer semester at Endicott is the first semester of the academic year, which means you have to finish the FAFSA before that, by May 1st, I would say, to get, financial aid and to get the FAFSA and to get everything going. You want to apply for that.
You're right, Anna. So you'd be filling out the FAFSA for the 21-22 year. Yeah. So not the one right now, but the one, the one that's available today. Today's October 1st. You can do the FAFSA for the 21-22 year as of today. So if you're planning on going, just do it.
And then if you have any questions about financial aid, please feel free to either email me or email Marcia, and then we'll be happy
absolutely
to answer that question.
So I had a question. You were talking about the financial aid. So does that mean it would be covered if they wouldn't get paid till after the trip is over? It would be covered.
That's my understanding. You're getting financial aid. We know that it's coming. You've done everything you need to do. You've filled out the FAFSA. You've received your award letter. You've signed your award letter. If you need to do the prom note, the entrance counseling, everything is done. And my understanding is that you can use financial aid to cover the cost of this class.
Okay. And then my other question I had was the 2,500. Does that include the class as well as the trip, or are they separate? Is it 2,500 plus the 1,200 for the class?
They're separate.
2,500.
Separate. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's separate.
Separate.
So the trip is 2,500, and then whatever the class is. Okay, I wasn't sure of that. Okay.
And then
Yeah,
because financially is very specific to the student, then perhaps you're getting Pell. It doesn't necessarily mean loans, but it all depends on your FAFSA for that year. So you probably could get a little bit of Pell. Your EFC is, in the Pell range. But if not, then as Marsha was saying, it means loan to cover the class.
What's Pelt?
Pell Grant. Pell Grant.
Pell Grant. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. Yep. That makes sense. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, the cost, the 2,500 covers, airfare, ground transportation, transfers,
Okay.
all of the visits and excursions, and then meals.
Okay.
Right. So anything other than personal expenses, if you're going out. But so it's I have to say it's quite a good price because you're staying at our facility. Otherwise, we'd have to be spending like $100 a night if you're sharing a room, or $75 to $100. You'd have to add that on top of it. So that would just make this trip a lot more expensive. So.
Yeah, when we used to go to Dublin, it was more expensive than that, I believe, and we were often sharing rooms, often with strangers. So this is a good package.
Yeah, that was around $3,800.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And what the course, is it a 7-week course, start to finish, or with the trip? Is it the time frame of the course?
So Maria, it's the 135-hour model that we have, and so there'll be the Saturday meetings, and then as Dr. Alexander mentioned, the excursions and some of the assignments that are experiential within the course itself. So it's the same amount of hours, it's just delivered in a different way.
Different way. Okay. So there's Saturdays after the fact of the course we'll have.
Saturdays before 2 Saturdays before the course, and then after the course it'll be an online class for like another week or two.
Okay, gotcha. All right, perfect. Thank you. I've only been up since about 5, so I just had to run home from work as quick as I could to get on this. So. And I have class tonight, so here we are.
Well, we're glad you made it.
Thank you. I'm gonna too.
We have time for another question or two. Anyone has a? Vicki?
Yeah, I have a question. All right, so Samuel, I'm sorry, I don't know what
That's fine. Yeah.
Classes. So you had mentioned that obviously, we'll keep a journal as we go through Ireland and whatnot, and keeping, little pamphlets that we get from the different places we visit. Is that something that would need to be submitted at the end of the class with our papers, or is that something that we keep for ourselves, or we submit it and you send it back to us? I'm just
the last one. Yeah. So it is one of the deliverables for the course, but we would want you to I would want you to have it back after, but so you'll be using it to write your paper, but the journal itself will also be collected. Yeah. And it can be whichever form you want. I mean, if you want to do it as a print book journal that you give me at the end of the trip and I hand back to you, or if you want it to be, some people are very handy with digitizing things and you want to create it that way, that's fine too. It's sort of up to you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
And I would encourage you to tell your friends, because we need 12 students to travel on the trip.
How many is there now for students?
We have, if everyone committed who's interested, we would have a full trip. And yeah, so just not everyone could make the information session. So I have to say that the initial, we're going to continue to recruit. The initial response has been phenomenal, I would say. So I think that, and we can't have too many more because of the lodging, correct, Warren? Is
I was
that?
going to ask, is there a cap?
Yeah.
Well, there's a cap for a couple of things. One is we normally don't run trips that have more than like 16 or 18 because there's a ratio of student to faculty just to make things workable, but then you start talking about transportation and the rest. But in terms of the facility itself, we have 18 beds. Now, we could also go next door to Stan Brown's hotel, but I think just from a logistical standpoint and the size of vans and things, I think keeping it, 12, 14, 16, that's probably a good number in there. A lot of times on these trips, it comes down to kind of like first come, first serve, but you might have a waiting list in case a student drops out. But we'll work. If there's a huge interest, and we'll figure it out. We want to run the trip. That's a better problem to have than getting to 9, right?
And having said that, I think that's good, definitely good to know, but I would encourage you to make your deposit soon and to know that if the trip can't run, that's beyond all of our control, you don't lose your money. That would be refunded back to you if the borders weren't open. Do you want to address that, Warren? Or is that...
So it's like you said, if you if for whatever reason, and it's like February 15th, right? And everyone's paid and we're all set and something happens or later, and we make a decision that it's not prudent to go or we can't go, then we'll refund your money, right? And I know that there was another student said that she was on a trip. We're not holding back money, right? I think it was Alexis. But should you decide to not go, that's different, right? So we might incur some costs if we have to cancel it. We would, but we would just say, okay, that's not your fault, right? It's part of the cost that we have to weigh out of doing business. But if you chose not to go for whatever reason thereafter, then you would have to bear the burden of whatever money we couldn't get refunded on your behalf, right? So whether it's a plane ticket that we already purchased, you might get a 1-year eligible for use ticket to go anywhere on that airline, right? So there's if it's a code-share partner or something, but you'd be holding that ticket. We wouldn't be, right? But for the accommodations or other things, right? Uneaten meals, all of that, that's not going to be. We're not going to. We'll be able to get you that money back. But what we can have is have a whole bunch of students not go below the number, right? We want to keep that. We have to have that number be viable. We have to have 12 students go because we can't lose money on the trip, and we can't go with just 6 people if the other 8 decided not to go. So I think it's, we have to commit to go, and we'll do what we can. We're reasonable people, but we will certainly give your money back if we decide that it's not good for any of us to go. Hope that answered your question.
Yeah. So reach out. Like I said, there were another half dozen people who are interested who aren't here tonight. So if you're interested, we'll send out the portal information. We'll also send out the tentative syllabus soon. But think about making your commitment to hold your spot. And you'll continue to see our email and our outreach. You can certainly reach out to myself or Laura or Warren or Sam if you have any questions. But it's something we're really excited about. I know many things about it are exciting and interesting, but I love that it's an Endicott partner. The CIT is an Endicott institution, and to be able to have all of those resources available to help us on our travel is amazing. So,
and I just dropped my email in case people have academic specific questions. Maureen, will this video be posted somewhere so I can refer students to it who maybe might become interested as the semester goes on?
Sure. Jeannie, is that something we could put on the YouTube channel? Or you could? Would you mind?
Definitely. No problem. Yep.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much. Yeah. So we'll send that link out. Vicki?
I have one more question. I'm sorry. With regards to the whole COVID thing, is Ireland accepting American tourists at this point in time?
Europe is not accepting American tourists at this time.
Okay.
They're accepting university students, but not
So would we fall
casual travelers.
we would fall within the whole academic tourist then, I'm assuming, yes?
Well, our intention is that we would be traveling as tourists, not enrolled at Cork Institute of Technology. But if we had to work that angle, that's something that I'm looking into. If we could have you enrolled as casual students at CIT and coming over, that's something that I'm brainstorming some ideas.
Yeah, I know we have a few months to figure it out, but that was yeah, one of the things I was like, you know, I was a little curious about. So
the whole quarantine thing, you know, if you go to Switzerland now and you have a negative test, or Greece, you can quarantine for 5 days and then you can come out, and, you know, if you have another negative test, you're fine. Other countries, it's 14 days. Often that's just the whole duration of our trip. So we have to hope and assume that we'll be past the quarantine, that there'll be a vaccine. There's many different ones that are in the third phase of trials that things will be doing well, and hopefully everyone is doing as good a job as the students here at Endicott College and the faculty and staff to keep everyone safe. I know that they have more of a collectivist view of things in Ireland and in Europe and other parts of the world, that I'll wear a mask because I don't want you to get what I have, right? And vice versa. I'm respecting you. And I think that's how they were able to mitigate the spread and continue, is because people care about others and it's not just about me, right? And so I think I feel hopeful about that. And that's how we're able to send students on study abroad, because we know that our partners are there, they're doing the right thing, they're going to help our students to be safe, and it's kind of, we're working together. So I think we'll do it the same way. And as Maureen said, it's great that we have a great partner in CIT, because we are in daily dialogue and communication leading up to the departure. And so that's good. But we'll all be in touch, and as Sam said, you know, contact Sam and contact myself, Maureen, Laura, we're all here to help and make this thing work.
Well, thank you all for joining, and for everyone who shared information, for those who asked questions, and we will definitely be in touch. And thank you very much. Look for the link to the video as well as the portal. So.